What if I told you the difference between gold and silver in one of the fastest 100-meter races of the season was just 0.005 of a second? Because that is exactly what happened in Zurich. Julien Alfred stepped onto the track knowing she had unfinished business with Melissa Jefferson-Wooden. Seconds later, Alfred crossed the finish line in 10.70 seconds, set a brand new Saint Lucian national record, and snatched victory in one of the closest finishes you will see all season. But here's the incredible part. Jefferson-Wooden also ran 10.70. So how did Alfred win? And what does this dramatic victory mean for the balance of power in women's sprinting? Stay with us, because this Zurich showdown had everything. Introduction. The Zurich Diamond League delivered another spectacular night of athletics, and the women's 100 meters became one of the biggest stories of the entire meeting. The spotlight was firmly on three major names: Julien Alfred, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, and Sha'Carri Richardson. Add Jamaica's Tina Clayton and European champion Amy Hunt to the field, and this was a lineup packed with elite sprinting talent. But there was one particular storyline everyone was watching. Just days earlier at the Saint Lucian Diamond League, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden had defeated Julien Alfred. Jefferson-Wooden ran 10.78 seconds, while Alfred finished second in 10.83. Now, just 4 days later, the two rivals were back on the track. This time, Alfred was ready to respond. High voltage the start. As the athletes settled into their blocks at Zurich's Weltklasse Stadium, the tension was obvious. This wasn't simply another 100-meter race. For Alfred, it was an opportunity to answer back. The gun fired, and Alfred exploded from the start. Her opening phase was significantly sharper, immediately putting her into contention. Jefferson-Wooden was right there. Richardson was also pushing hard. And with the world's best sprinters separated by fractions of a second, every single step mattered. Alfred continued to drive forward. Her form stayed composed. Her acceleration remained powerful. And as the runners entered the final stages of the race, the crowd knew something special was unfolding. Fire the final meters. The final meters were absolutely dramatic. Alfred and Jefferson-Wooden were almost impossible to separate. Both athletes charged toward the finish line. Neither wanted to give an inch. And then came the finish. 10.70 seconds. The scoreboard showed the same time for Alfred and Jefferson-Wooden. But the photo finish had the answer. Julien Alfred had won. The winning margin? Just 0.005 seconds. 0.005 of a second. That's how close it was. Alfred's winning time was officially recorded as 10.70 seconds, while Jefferson-Wooden also recorded 10.70 as a season best. And that wasn't the only reason Alfred was celebrating. She had just rewritten her own national record. Saint Lucia, a new Saint Lucian record. Before Zurich, Alfred's national record stood at 10.72 seconds, the mark she set during her Olympic triumph in Paris in 2024. Now that record has been lowered. 10.70 seconds. 0.02 of a second faster. On paper, 0.02 might sound tiny. At elite sprinting level, however, it is enormous. Every hundredth represents an incredible amount of speed, precision, and execution. And Alfred managed to produce the performance when the pressure was at its highest. Her 10.70 was not simply a winning time. It was another piece of history for Saint Lucia. Boxing glove Alfred versus Jefferson-Wooden. The rivalry heats up. What makes this result even more interesting is the timing. Only a few days earlier, Jefferson-Wooden had beaten Alfred in Saint Lucia. That victory gave Jefferson-Wooden another major statement in a rivalry that has already produced some memorable moments. But Zurich completely changed the conversation. Alfred didn't just win. She responded with a national record. And she did it against the same opponent who had just beaten her. Jefferson-Wooden's 10.70 was also an outstanding performance. The American sprinter pushed Alfred all the way to the line. But Alfred's finishing dip was enough to give her the victory by the smallest of margins. That is exactly what makes sprinting so fascinating. One race can be decided by a blink. Sha'Carri Richardson still in the mix. While the battle at the front was between Alfred and Jefferson-Wooden, Sha'Carri Richardson remained one of the biggest names in the race. Richardson crossed the line in 10.97 seconds, taking third place. It wasn't enough to challenge the two leaders on this occasion, but Richardson remains one of the most dangerous sprinters in the world. And the fact that she was racing alongside Alfred and Jefferson-Wooden tells you just how deep this field was. The podium was gold Julien Alfred, 10.70 NR. Silver, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden, 10.70 SB. Bronze, Sha'Carri Richardson, 10.97. Jamaica's Tina Clayton finished fourth in 10.98, while Amy Hunt finished fifth in 11.04. Globe showing Europe-Africa why 10.70 matters. Julien Alfred's rise has been remarkable. She has already established herself as one of the defining sprinters of her generation. Her Olympic 100m victory in Paris made her a national hero in Saint Lucia. But Zurich showed that she isn't simply living off past success. She is continuing to improve. Julien Alfred didn't simply win a 100-meter race in Zurich. She answered a challenge. She defeated Melissa Jefferson-Wooden by just 0.05 of a second. She ran 10.70 seconds. And she established a new national record for Saint Lucia. It was a performance built on speed, composure, and determination. Jefferson-Wooden pushed her all the way. Richardson secured another podium. Tina Clayton came dangerously close to the 10-second barrier with 10.98. And the result showed once again that women's sprinting is entering an incredibly competitive era. But on this night, Zurich belonged to Julien Alfred. And now I want to hear from you. Was Julien Alfred's 10.70 victory the biggest sprint statement of the Zurich Diamond League? And who do you think will win the next major showdown between Julien Alfred and Melissa Jefferson-Wooden? Drop your prediction in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next major track and field story. Because if Zurich proved anything, it's this. The women's 100-meter battle is far from over. And the next race could be even faster. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.